The MCU's movie bad guys are all teaming up in Thunderbolts, arguably Marvel's version of DC's The Suicide Squad. But there are no aliens or strange beings here. Most of the characters who make up the team of misfits are misunderstood or were under some form of influence during the life of crime. There's no Killmonger, no Green Goblin, no Mandarin, no Yellow Jacket, no Caecilius or Red Skull. Most of these characters are dead or in space. What we're left with in the MCU's Thunderbolts movie are the not-so-bad baddies ones. What is Marvel's Thunderbolts? Marvel's Thunderbolts is an upcoming MCU superhero team-up movie based on the Marvel Comics team of the same name set to release on 26 July 2024. The film will be the sequel to Ant-Man and the Wasp, Black Widow, and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It will be the 37th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and will be the final installment of Phase 5. Deadline reported on 9 June 2022 that Thunderbolts is finally in development with director Jake Schreier set to direct the MCU film and Eric Pearson, who also wrote Black Widow, penning the script with the help of Kurt Busiek. They also reported that the Marvel film was scheduled to begin production in the summer of 2023, that the cast would most likely consist of those already established as MCU characters, and that Marvel Studios has begun to take steps to secure the availability of some of the actors. The Thunderbolts movie was then officially announced by Marvel boss Kevin Feige at San Diego Comic-Con 2022, where he discussed their involvement in Phase 5, and the official roster was announced at the D23 Expo as well as many of the actors that will be involved in the project. It was also revealed that the film will effectively act as a spin-off of Black Widow, seeing a few of its characters returning. Thunderbolts marks the MCU's first anti-hero team-up and has often been compared to DC's very similar concept, Suicide Squad. The Thunderbolts in the comics. The Thunderbolts were originally formed as a part of a plan for world domination under Baron Zemo that was formed after several members of the Avengers were killed in the Onslaught event. Zemo united the members of the Masters of Evil, a group of supervillains under him for something quite unexpected, to protect the world. The group of villains took on new costumes and personas to gain the trust of the public and governments. Some members of the Thunderbolts started to enjoy their new roles as defenders instead of villains, which eventually brought about quite a divide within the team. The roster for the comic version of the Thunderbolts is extremely extensive, as most of Marvel's villains, as well as several heroes, have been affiliated with the team at some point in comic history. Many of the members of the original team have yet to make their MCU debut, which may be the reason that Marvel is moving forward with a different cast of anti-heroes. Many different heroes, anti-heroes, and supervillains have led the team in the comics, including Bucky Barnes, Norman Osborn, and General Thaddeus, Thunderbolt, Ross aka Red Hulk. Ghost has appeared in many of the variations of the Thunderbolts teams, and seems to be included in the film as well. Taskmaster is appearing in both the film and was a part of the Thunderbolts in the comics but appeared as Tony Masters, who helped to train recruits to the team when it was run under Norman Osborn. The comic book version formed under Thunderbolt Ross is made up of Punisher, Deadpool, Elektra, and Agent Venom. Some of these characters might have been left out of the roster for now because they have not been fully established within the MCU. For example, Deadpool has only recently been reacquired by Marvel Studios. Punisher has only appeared in the Marvel Netflix series that moved over to Disney Plus this year, and Agent Venom is a character that would technically be owned by Sony, as part of their Spider-Man pantheon of villains. It is also, of course, possible that many of the characters that have previously made up part of the Thunderbolts will be debuted in the course of the movie. You cannot rule out anything at the moment. The star cast of Thunderbolts we know so far. Florence Pugh is Yelena Belova. While Yelena Belova has not been introduced as a villain within the MCU, she started as a Russian spy who originally graduated from the Red Room. This may be of little consequence as her sister, Natasha Romanoff, did the same but was accepted into the ranks of the Avengers. Yelena appeared in Hawkeye going after Clint Barton, believing that he and the rest of the Avengers were responsible for her sister's death. Because of this, she is unlikely to join the Avengers but is being led toward the Thunderbolts. It was confirmed at the San Diego Comic-Con by Florence Pugh herself that she would be leading the Thunderbolts team. Sebastian Stan is Bucky Barnes, aka Winter Soldier. Having led the Thunderbolts team before in the comics, many Marvel fans were grateful to see some familiar faces in the lineup along with the new ones. After the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it was only a matter of time to see which of the two heroes would inherit the mantle of Steve Rogers and become the new Captain America, as both have inherited the title in comic book history. Sam Wilson as the Falcon seems to be set to inherit the Captain America shield, and everyone was wondering what was going to happen to the one who didn't. As a reformed mass murderer who has been pardoned for his crimes, it seems fitting that Bucky is finding himself among the Thunderbolts. Wyatt Russell is John Walker, aka U.S. Agent. This character initially entered the MCU as the U.S. government's replacement for Captain America in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but proved to be less than heroic, actually turning out to be more of an antagonist to Sam and Bucky. He is later discharged from the military and ends up self-injecting with the super soldier serum, turning out very unstable. Contessa Valentina Allegra de Fontaine approaches him towards the end of his appearance on the show, laying the pathway for him to join the Thunderbolts. Interestingly, Walker was never a part of the team in the comics and fought against them on multiple occasions. It will be really interesting to see how the dynamic between John and Bucky plays out in the movie, considering the tension between the two. Olga Kurilenko is Antonia Dreykov, aka Taskmaster. This version of Taskmaster saw her debut in Black Widow and is a skilled mercenary that has definite ties to the Red Room in the MCU, as she is supposedly the creator of the Red Room's daughter. She can perfectly replicate any fighting style or move from any other character, the same as the comic book version of the character. David Harbour is Alexei Shostakov, aka Red Guardian. Jokingly known as Captain Russia, and made especially funny by the fact that Alexei perceives a rivalry between himself and Steve Rogers, even though Steve has no idea who Alexei is. Red Guardian was the first Soviet-made super soldier and sports similar super strength and the same patriotism and relatively wholesome interpersonal traits as Captain America, purely by coincidence. Historically connected to the Red Room after having worked for them and raised Natasha and Yelena in preparation for the Red Room. Red Guardian is no stranger to the world of superpowered espionage. Hannah John Carmen is Ava Starr, aka Ghost. Ghost was originally a covert agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. that was set up as a villain but turned out to be more of a misunderstood anti-hero. With a bit of a tragic backstory, having gained her ability to render herself intangible after a quantum accident that killed both her parents, she was slowly dying due to a lack of quantum energy which she could not control. John Carmen had expressed an interest in being part of a possible lineup long before the announcement of Thunderbolts was ever suggested, and her character is regularly picked out as one that should be included more. Ghost is an incredibly intriguing and underexplored character, and yet she felt far too deep to only be used as a once-off villain, so it's awesome to see her coming back in Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts without Thunderbolt Ross. Having starred as the great General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross in The Incredible Hulk and returning to impose the Sokovia Accords in Captain America: Civil War, actor William Hurt has left a lasting impression as his character in the MCU. Unfortunately, he passed away in March 2022. Leaving a great absence behind him, as his character was never quite able to be fully realized as the Red Hulk. Whether the MCU will recast the character remains to be seen, as he is usually the founder of the Thunderbolts, as his name would suggest. Marvel Studios could always bring back Sam Elliott, who played General Ross in the 2003 version of Hulk that predated the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's more likely that the title will be passed down to another handler, possibly the Contessa, who is the current founder, as there cannot be Thunderbolts without Thunderbolt Ross. The movie is a pretty long way off, but people have been talking about Thunderbolts for the MCU as far back as 2008. The MCU is famous for meticulously planning their movies in the MCU, now adding the Disney Plus series to their ranks, and we cannot wait to see how Thunderbolts will add to the story so far. And that's all for this time, guys. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like, comment, and share this video. Thanks for watching.
What master do you serve?
What master do I serve? What am I supposed to say, Jesus?